This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Today's podcast, it's February 14th. It's Valentine's Day. And the title today is The Markets Jump plus 14 Other Stories. So the good news today on Valentine's Day is we're seeing the markets jump today, taking back some of what they lost yesterday after the markets fell significantly yesterday. Second, JetBlue jumped 21% on Carl Icahn's investment in JetBlue. Third, Jeff Bezos, the Amazon king, sold $4 billion of Amazon stock in the last 4 trading days. This is always a good thing when it takes up just a small part of your total portfolio and you sell $4 billion worth. Fourth, Instacart is laying off 7% of its workforce. Fifth, Avis, and I always forget between Avis and Hertz, which one in my era showed OJ running through the airport and which was second and tried harder. But either way, whichever one it is, Avis tanked 22.9% yesterday. Sixth, staying in the auto car genre, Goodyear Tire dropped almost 15%. Seventh, there's this great concept, well, with several podcasts on this, about being authentic. In this concept of being authentic, also has to go with being realistic. When you say to your interviewer, I never want to work past 5, that may be a great example of authenticism, but that's probably, you better be clear what job you're interviewing for or talk to people about if that's your mindset. That's fine if it's a job that really requires that kind of work ethic, but most people that have real success can't really take that work ethic into the workplace. So you got to hit this right balance between authentic and realistic, and hitting that challenge. You know, it's part of it's self-awareness. It's fine if you don't want to work that hard, but you can't also expect great success and a huge salary. Eighth, today's shout out goes to Greg Adams, the chairman and CEO of Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente has engineered a wonderful comeback over the past year. We'll talk about it in our ninth story. So ninth, Kaiser Permanente posted a $4.1 billion net income in 2023. Now, a lot of that is investment income, not just operating income, but still this is a huge uptick after having a net loss of in 2022 of $4.5 billion. Revenues also grew substantially. Alan Condon was covering that in the next story of Becker's Healthcare. 10th, 50% of rural hospitals are now operating in the red. 11th, thrilled to report that the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast has now reached 4 million downloads. 12th, a story we seem to be covering regularly. NVIDIA passed Amazon yesterday as 4th in market cap of all stocks. It's closing in on Google, Alphabet, which is 3rd. So that's fascinating to watch. Microsoft and Apple have flip-flopped this year, where Microsoft is now number 1, Apple's number 2. 13th, Elon Musk joined Jamie Dimon and Fed Chair Powell yesterday in raising concerns about the U.S. national debt of $34 trillion. 14th, one of the great concepts in life is to learn from setbacks. One of the setbacks I'm having is we are not selling enough of the book I wrote, Blocking and Tackling 60 Keys to Building a Business and Managing Your Money, to really take my family out to a nice dinner. And so one of the great concepts in life is, what do you learn from setbacks? Do you learn to rework the plan? Do you learn to quit the effort? Do you pivot to other efforts, or do you rethink distribution and make greater efforts on marketing? But in either way, best thing to learn from setbacks and what do you decide to do with them? A lot to learn from big and small setbacks. 15th, along the same vein, what did I learn from selling Bitcoin at a loss? The real thing I learned on that was, don't buy something and invest in something without a real conviction and clarity about what you're trying to do. Finally, the last PS I'll have is, Zach LaVine is one of the great scorers in Chicago Bulls history. He is now hurt, and the Bulls seem to constantly play better without Zach LaVine in the lineup. This should say something about him as an overall leader. He's a wonderful person, but he's not a great team player. I wonder if the one thing that Zach LaVine and I have in common is, when I'm out with an injury and I've got a torn meniscus recently, and whether my paddle team, my golf team, my rackets team, whatever it is, they're so much better when I'm out. They record more wins. Is there something I could learn from that? In any event, that's what Zach LaVine, a wonderful athlete, and I, a horrible athlete, have in common. Our teams are doing better without me in the game. In any event, feel free to text me, 773-766-5322. If you're the first person to text me that you listen to this podcast all the way through, You don't have to tell me I'm a better athlete than Zach Levine, because I'm not. I'll send you a $100 Amazon gift certificate from Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Thank you for listening.